Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Open Cluster Management Community Meetings. Today is June the 9th, 2026. On the agenda today, we really want to talk about the next release of OCMIO. So, as you're all well aware, we have done a release roughly a month ago, and we made a patch release as well. So the next version that's coming up is on it's going to be 1.4.0. So first of all, I'm proposing that we continue our 3 to 4 months cycle, which is going to be October 2026. Um, any feedback on that? Any concern regarding that? And again, this is just a rough draft of what we're planning to do on 1.4.0. There's no, there's no final decision has been made what should be included or not. We're just mostly here discussing the planning and the draft aspect of 1.4.0. So the first thing I want to mention is the proposed dates, right? It's this October, which is roughly 3 months, 4 months away. Sounds like a realistic date to you guys. What do you guys think?
I mean, the date sounds realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, same
Thank you.
here. I guess I don't know how it works. How do the dates work? Do we generally kind of give a month time frame, or like how strict are the dates that we stick to?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit on that based on my past experience. So we usually put a proposed date on the release that we're currently working on. And then as the day get closer, we might adjust. So for example, in the 1.30 release, we were actually targeting end of April. And then we asked the community if it's okay to push it a little bit. And then we end up pushing a little bit 2 weeks, which is fine because the community didn't have a problem with that. And they were quite happy that we got a release out. So, and you can see from the time here from January 1st to May. So it kind of worked out to be a 3 or 4 months release cycles. So that's how we usually plan our release management. And this is the same call that we have previously, where we kind of plan out what we should have for in the upstream these OCMI these releases, and then it might take a few more iterations of planning to before we finalize the list. So the first meeting, such as this one, is mostly on brainstorming, getting a really rough target day before we even share it out with the community. We just want to discuss it and then see how that goes. Does that answer your question, Tisha?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Mike. And yeah, that timing sounds good to me as well.
Okay.
And
So, yep, go ahead.
I think the date sounds realistic, but the question is, how do we come up with this list?
That's a really good question. So similar to our other releases, the first thing get prioritized on the list is stuff that we didn't get done in the last release. So as you can see, I would say maybe half, maybe even more than half of the stuff here are actually stuff that we didn't get to from the last release. So Teshu is probably familiar with some of the add-on stuff. I'm familiar with some of the Argo stuff, the SIG MC placement decision, and then there's the TLS profile thing, and then there's also stuff that we long discussed that we should be doing in the in the OCMIO, where we haven't done so in the past releases. Stuff like adding AI policy, AI usage best practice. That's been a hot topic. And then the work around manifest work replica set. So most of the stuff that we put on the initial draft planning list, such as this one, correspond with the previous release, as well as some of the works that are in flight. And if we need to add new additional items, we'll evaluate them and individually and put it on there. So too long didn't wait. Most of it is stuff in work and stuff that we push back from the past release.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question.
Okay. So we don't have to drill down into each one, but I guess let's look at time. I mean, we have the time to do that, so we can do that. I wish there's a grouping mechanism. So I want to go through some of them first. I want to go through one of the central use case in our upstream OCMIO right now. It seems the community have been surrounding the manifest work replica set. So I feel like the manifest work replica set should play a big role in our 1.4 release. So some of the issues are placed in here, and I should have. There should one regarding setting the defaults. Yeah, this should have been in here. I'm not sure why it's not showing up. So this is an issue that I need to look at. So we want to make the default. We want to make the manifest work replica set enabled by default. And based on this enhancement, there are a few issues that are kind of like prerequisite. Maybe not. We can look at and judge on a case by case. Such as, let's look at this one. There's a community member that mentioned a detailed bug report here, mostly on placement decision, which is what manifest work replica set evaluates on before creating the manifest work. I feel like that is kind of an issue that we should be able to fix, and it would be nice before we enable the feature on default. And then another item is so this is just a general use case issue. We have made a few OCM enhancement on this particular topic, but what we didn't have is like documenting, maybe setting some example of the specific use cases. So having those documentations and having those use cases are quite important in order for the feature to be considered as a default. So those are the two things, and there was one more because this one. There was one more that this one. This case, yeah, generate. So I think this one is done. That's why it didn't show up. Yeah, this one is closed. So this one. So generally, the feature is in good states, and there are some community demands to make it in default. That's why I feel like it's something that we should be considering in 0.4. So I talk a lot regarding manifest work replica set. I'm going to stop here and see if there's any questions or feedback regarding that. I guess I'm gonna pass it to Teshu. Teshu, there are a few items here that's assigned to you, a few of the items that maybe you're quite familiar with as well. I think most of them are, if not all of them, are passed from the last release regarding the add-on API upgrades as well as the TLS profile. Do you want to just quickly go over them and let me know if you want to share the screen or you want me to click into any issues?
Sure. I think for the add-on works, so say that number 11 there in the list, that's going pretty well. At least the first two parts are done. Storage migration, I guess, is a bigger one. Um, and actually, this linked one at the very bottom, I haven't looked at, but that one is in your list, actually. I think it got that one I saw in the 1.4 list. I think it was this one. So yeah, I haven't really looked at what's involved there, but I can potentially take that one over. The stop supporting one. Like it looks like there's work in progress, but um, I guess the dangerous part with all these is, making sure we don't break stuff and things like that. Um, but hopefully those are, I think it's reasonable to try to get all that into the 1.4 release. Um, sorry, if you don't mind going back. Yeah, I see that stop supporting one, number 3 there. So that's in the list already. Um, that's the same one, right? That you just put the comment on? Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think those are reasonable. The actual storage migration part, I haven't started or even thought about yet. So, but I guess the plan was to do all that, now that we're done with the kind of first part of it. Um, and yeah, I can't actually check the checkboxes, but the first two in this list are now done. Um, and so I guess I don't have a lot more to say on this topic right now, but I think it makes sense we try to do this for 1.4. Um, and sorry, Mike, do you mind going back to the 1.4 list again? So the other one is the TLS profile setting. So that one, I think large parts of that are done now. I do have a separate issue. So because part of this wasn't possible in the 1.3 time, I made a separate issue. Um, where is it? Um, 1504 to cover kind of the future work for it. Um, and so that I have a PR up for this now. So the blocking thing for this was the API server, um, uh, API network server itself is a separate product, and it needed a flag to be able to pass through the TLS min version. So they've accepted that upstream. So the complicated part of this is that's in their latest release. And so I have a PR to move to that latest release. Unfortunately, it requires moving to Golang 126. So they've introduced a dependency that we have to go to Golang 126. So if we want to complete this, um, we would have to start moving to Go 126. So I actually created an issue. Um, I don't know what everyone thinks of this, but I created an issue. I was just looking at it. 1555. Yeah, this is it. And so Chojen had suggested we start with those two repos first, the API and the SDK Go. Um, so to get the whole cluster proxy kind of end to end, we would need to do at least part of this. Now, technically, we could just migrate cluster proxy to Go 126, but I think the feeling was we should do it all at the same time, or at least, all in the same release. I don't know what everyone thinks of that. Um, so I'd asked it in the Slack channel. Um, but I'm not sure if we've gotten any other feedback other than Chiojen. I don't know what everyone else on this call thinks. Um, Like I think to stay current for, CVEs, bug fixes and all that kind of stuff, it is good to go to 126. I guess I don't know if that introduces issues with consumers of things like SDK Go and API, because it may force them to upgrade as well. But that's a consideration, I guess. I'm sorry, I've talked a lot, but does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I thank you for identifying some of the issues and I put them in the point for now. I feel like upgrading Golang to a new version is part of the business of us maintaining the backend Go code. So I don't think there's going to be too much objection to that. As for the scope of the work, I mean, if we're doing it for in API SD Go, I mean, most likely will impact OCM as well, now core repo, because I think there's a dependency on,
Right.
like for
So
sure.
sorry, when I wrote that issue, I had meant to fill in them all because I think we basically we should do it everywhere. But I just put those two because Shojan had just mentioned that we should do those first. That's all.
Got it. Yeah, so I don't have any objection to doing it all because it is something. I mean, it's business as usual, moving up a Golang version, and given we still have 3 months, I mean, it should be something that we aim for sure. Um, what do you think, Luke? Any comments on this particular broad topic? Because it is quite broad and quite generic. And the scope, I mean, maybe it's a small change, maybe it's a big change, but the scope is quite large because we'll be impacting probably most likely most of the repos under our org.
Yeah, I think we need to be careful if it's the scope is that big. We need a little more. Yeah, but I do think it's important. So I keeping up to date with Golang has bitten us before, so we need to do it.
Right. Just with the amount of CVEs coming out these days,
Hmm.
staying current is generally advisable, I think. It sounds like 125 is supported until February of next year, so maybe not super urgent. But like I said, I do need it for one specific thing for TLS support for cluster proxy.
Well, I mean, if we can kill two birds in one stone, like why not? Because I don't think upgrading 0.25 it's any more non-trivial than moving to 0.26. If you're saying we're currently on 0.24?
No, no, no. Sorry, I meant
We're already on
for
0.25.
cluster proxy. For me to be able to do the TLS stuff, I need to move to 126.
Got it. Got
Um, so I have a PR for that, but I think we're hoping we'd kind of do it all at once, like you said.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, we're already on 0.25. I don't know why I thought we are jumping two version, but if we're going from 2.5 to 2.6, I mean that is like to me something that we definitely should tackle. Well, do you need a little bit more time to think about it before you chime in?
No, I mean, I think upgrading Golang to 126 is important. Um, but I think, well, as you mentioned, it's pretty big. I mean, I think we're talking about upgrading everything in OCM IO to Golang 126, right?
Yeah, the Golang repos. Let me check if like I always subtract the policy stuff, but let me look at the policy. Okay, policy seems to be still on 1.25 as well. So yes, most likely it'll be all the repos
Yeah.
the under the org.
And I would say, I guess the big ones are the ones where we actually do builds, where we have Docker files and things like that. Um,
Yeah, I think it's better to do it earlier than before the previous version of Golang expires or goes out of support.
I agree, Roke. Actually, I just looked it up. The 127 is expected to launch August. Um, so that's generally where they stop supporting the two releases earlier. Um, so yeah, if
Yeah,
we could start moving before 127 comes out, or that would be ideal, I think.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even call it ideal. I mean, we might be forced to do that because if you think about when they're gonna remove versus our potentially next release, the release after the next release, right? So to like
Y-
what Woke
Oh,
said
yes, that's a
to
good
stay
point.
ahead.
Yeah, like if
Yeah.
we were to wait for 1.5, it's probably too late at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. I mean, of course, we can always revisit right now. We're still in the planning stage. I mean, we haven't even shared this particular board with the community yet. I just want to get a general feedback, right? So, Teshu, I think you went over all your items. Are there any other items that you think is missing here or related?
I'm not sure. I mean, when it comes to the TLS one, I guess I still have to assess what's left. But I think most of it is done. So I might have to come back for that one, but I think I'm good for the rest. Yeah.
Okay. And well, there's an item here for you to take a look at. I just wasn't sure if it's already done or not. There was a yeah. So Wendy has started on this, and then a PR has been merged. This was not part of our 1.3 release, and it wasn't in our 0.3.1 patch release as well.
Hmm.
If you can take a look and just yeah close it, and then we already have one of the first item done in our next release.
Yep.
So we have 3 minutes left, roughly. I can quickly go over the other items. So again, the Argo CD ones, and there might be a few more Argo CD agent integration ones in here. They are from the last release, and then the this one, I think I have a PR already on it, but I'm working on it. Yeah, I have a working in progress PR on it. And this is about bringing the SIGMC placement decision API into OCMIO, similar to cluster profile. And then the other more recent issue is the one that QGen would like to us to work on, and I'll talk to him about that. Like how urgent is this? Essentially, there's CRD cell validation now, and we used to use webhook to do a lot of validation. He's saying that let's try to move those validation into CL for maintainability as well as best practice, I would say. So this is something that might not be just about enhancing our support, but also have to deal with the migration. Like if let's see, we should replace process. Yeah. So the migration of the old code to the new code is probably the difficult part of this particular issue. I put it in 1.4 1.4 for now. Well, I'll see if we can get to it. And then other than that, I think we've gone over to everything else except this particular one. This particular items, so someone already started working on it. It's about adding an option in clusterless CR. Um, yeah. So this contributor have contributed a few times. I feel quite confident that he's able to get it done. So I've added this particular issue for now. I mean, if he's not able to get to it, since it is an optional parameter, we can always exclude it from the release as we progress towards getting this release done. Okay, we only have 1 minute left. I want to ask if anyone have any other questions, comments before I share this with the broader community. Well, thank you all so much for joining this office hours call, and have the great rest of your day. Take care, everyone.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot. Bye.